G'day, Bruce. Welcome to Landscape Photography World. How's your day been?
My day has been, like they've all been recently, pretty terrific. Thank you. Thank you for inviting.
And thank you for
Collab, everybody.
excellent. Welcome to Sydney for you, and thank you for being on the show. It's wonderful to take some time and get to know you a little bit better and find out a little bit more about what makes you and your photography tick. So why don't we start there and say, what makes you a landscape photographer? Why do you do it?
Oh boy. Number one, it's just pure joy. I think we can all recognize that when we take the opportunity to step out, step away from everything else, and we spend some time alone. I largely photograph alone. I can be with a party. I can be with a small group of people.
Sure.
But then that group of people has to understand that I'm going to disappear, and maybe the best thing they could do is also disappear, because then I think for all of us, we're more able to commune on a one-to-one basis. And that's what I like to do. I have this wonderful place, my home. I live in Moab, but I consider my backyard the landscape that's about 200 miles in any direction.
That's a fair backyard.
Yeah, it's a pretty good, the Colorado Plateau, and I've been storming around in it for 40 plus years.
Sure.
So I know how it ticks. I don't know all places like intimately because there's just too many.
Mm.
I find there are some that I just have to go back to because it's like a friendship. You develop that relationship and it doesn't get dry. It doesn't get boring. It gets more intense. It gets more intense. I'm sure you've got those experiences down at the shore. I see you photograph there a lot, and you probably have certain little spots or this little alcove over here. And
Oh yeah, there's a certain part of
you
the
just
search
can't.
beat that I always go to if I'm thinking about something to shoot and just want to scratch the itch. It's easy to get to. It's ever changing. The sand comes up over the rocks sometimes, and you don't see the rocks. Sometimes there's no sand at all in that little area, and it's just bare rock. Sometimes there's green weed over the top of the rocks, and it changes not just cyclically during the year, but day to day. I've been there 2 or 3 days in a row, and each day it's looked different. And that's what I love about going to certain places that you know really well and what to expect, but it always throws up a surprise. There's always something going on and something different, which is one of the reasons why I keep going there. I wouldn't keep, it wasn't interesting.
Same here. And I've really recently, the last decade or more, really been leaning into spirit of place
Mm.
type of work. Was it Minor White had that quote? I'm going to misquote him. Spirit always stands still for the photographer it has chosen.
Nice. Okay.
I used to do books to illustrate places, the Santa Fe Trail, Dead Horse Point State Park, rock art ruins of the Southwest. I've done those, but they were pictures made for publishers. And I'm glad that I have 15 or so under my belt.
Nice.
But they were for me, but they weren't for me, if you follow my drift.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
You know, the place looked good. My design is excellent, but I wanted a little deeper relationship with place. And that led to a little more abstraction. And that also led to a lot of work being in black and white. And that's what I enjoy doing now, color and black and white, but I'm leaning into getting to know the character of a place rather than looking at it as a commodity to be put on a postcard, although they have been,
Sure.
but things I feel closer to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't need to make photographs to make a living anymore, although I certainly don't mind when I get to do a book or somebody wants to hang them on a wall in a hospital and pay me for them, or buy one of my personal images to hang on their wall at home.
I want to dig it a little bit deeper into what you were saying there about leaning into things that fascinate you, because in essence, that to me is where you're going to express your passion for something in your photography. And I just want to reach a little bit deeper into that with you and how that sort of has evolved since, not necessarily way back when you started, since you stopped doing the books for other people and you started to work on your passion projects. How's that developed for you, that feeling of leaning into those things that really you're really passionate about?
I think I've always had an interest in, not always, because I went to business school at University of Utah, and comes in handy, comes in handy. But then I ended up being teaching art for the last 40 plus years to children in schools all over the Southwest, 10 years on the Navajo reservation, 10 years in Santa Fe among Pueblo people. And then I came back home but so some of the relationship I have and leaning in, I actually just gained some ideas about relating to the landscape from Native people who I work closely alongside. I'm not trying to be any one of those.
Sure.
For instance, my good painter friend, Shanto Begay, like many Navajos, he knows his umbilical cord is buried in the ground outside his grandmother's hogan over there in Shanto, which is light shining on the water, on a place on the res. And that's true for many Navajos. So I don't know where my umbilical cord is.
I'm pretty sure mine went into a bucket in a hospital somewhere.
Yeah. And to just think about that, though, to know that your connection to the landscape is she's holding on to his umbilical cord. I'm fascinated, and I'm like, okay, how can I improve my own behavior around the landscape? And not that you can do anything, you can't take a class on it, but I spend time with it. I'm part of preservation projects and programs to do things. I feel there's some reciprocity. I feel good doing those things. I actually have to do those things. So I require myself to do those things. But if I haven't done them for a while, I still feel that the feeling is there. So I take more time usually when photographing, but not always. Might be, you let me know when I'm rambling. Cartier-Bresson, Henry Cartier-Bresson is my favorite photographer. Do you know his work?
I do know his work, yeah.
Yeah. So the decisive moment.
That's it.
And he does his in an instant, and mine might take a couple of hours waiting for that one cloud to just come slowly. This spot right there, it's click. That's my decisive moment.
That's it.
Waiting a while for it. But I just enjoy the heck out of that interaction. And I feel that I bring something home that embodies, let's say, the experience. The experience has been great. When I finally get down to making a print, to me, I have to print everything. I have stacks of prints and sleeves in my back room because even before I put them online, I have to print them.
Yeah.
They're
not finished images as far as I'm concerned until they're printed. They need to be printed.
Give me high five then for that. You're so right. And I'm so broke sometimes.
I'm the same.
I was like, okay, more paper. Oh God, more ink.
It's
hard work.
This stuff.
I just had my printer fixed because I was going to have to buy a new one. I don't want to buy a new one because the old one, this 3880 is, thank you. You're my best friend.
I try to buy the inks in bulk so that per ink cartridge, they're cheaper, but it's an expensive business.
Yes. But getting back to what you're saying, we evolve as people with our relationship with things. If we're fortunate, we're aware. And I certainly feel that through my photography, I've become more aware of just the world around me. So I feel like I'm always on.
Yeah.
Way back when, I wished I would have known it decades ago when I had Argus C3s and cheap little Vicar mats and running around crazy, backpacking with friends. I wished I would have had a more mature view of my art, of myself.
Yeah,
we don't. So
no, this is it. It only comes with age and experience, and you always look back. And it's one of the things I like to ask as well Is there anything you would change in your career if you could?
Wouldn't change a thing. Because I feel whatever that road you're on is, probably the only thing I would have changed is learning to accept. Accept whatever it is you have. We've all had our pitfalls. I've had some. And you can let them fester, or you can say welcome and have all your doors and windows open. Let it in and keep everything open. And that bad air is going to leave the building sooner if everything's open.
Absolutely.
It comes in more often, but it'll leave. But then overall, I feel more comfortable. So I can be at ease more at the landscape.
Yeah.
So when I'm out photographing and I'm at ease, you're seeing things that maybe you're seeing things that you're pretty sure nobody else is, because they're all taking the camera and looking out and away. Like last night, I was at Dead Horse Point State Park because I'd been up there 2 nights before. And there's this little zone I like to go to, and we've had fires all over the place. So we had this rosy, smoke-filled air. So the far distance was murky. I thought it was excellent looking, a certain quality. Sorry that it's the fire. But down at my feet was all this great detail, the layers of stone coming out in some abstract little shapes and staining that I'd never seen before. Even I've been there for two decades going to this spot. And I looked at the viewpoint way over there. Everybody walks to the viewpoint and they're looking way out across the
looking on the horizon,
far distance. And I was just having the best time at my feet. But so that's one of the things I notice about my work that I like to do. I like to find those close-up, cool details, abstract them, say to people, look at this cool stuff right here. And then maybe just get enough of the skyline or enough of the distance in there so people might go, oh, this is part of this world.
Yeah, it's a sense of place without necessarily focusing on the overall wider scene.
Yeah, the big vistas. I like big vistas, but I like that draw from the super near to the far. It's just, I can't not do them. I do my little details and fun things like that, and other things, but I just like that evolution of the landscape from right here, quite abstract. Because it is. And then that little teaser off in the distance.
Nice.
It could be because my dad many years ago, and he was alive and I was just getting started and stuff, he'd always go, God, I wish you'd put something in there so I know what size things are. So it just could be I'm just getting back at Dad, even though he's long dead. Thanks, Dad.
Nice. I'm interested in what came first. Was it getting out into the landscape and then you just happen to have a camera with you, or were you going out into the landscape specifically with a camera to record it?
No, I had always got, let me back this up. Born in Montana, raised in Salt Lake. No, I'm not. My mom's the Montana part. She was an outdoor girl, her and her 13 siblings.
Wow.
And they lived on a 3-acre farm. So they were always out. She worked in Yellowstone National Park, and the part of the park that has the bears up in the northwest corner and the geysers right there and everything. And when she came she was a dietitian in college. So when she came out of food service, which is where she worked, they would have to shoo away the bears. Just go, get out of the way. My dad was from New Jersey. He didn't know anything, but he had a scholarship out west and they married and fell in love. So growing up, my mom made sure we went camping, the whole family. She was the one that got us from the early days with our 57 Chev or our 63 Impala and our, over here in the United States, we used to have a thing called the Coleman Camping Company. They made tents and.
Yeah, I know Coleman very well. I had one of their little camp stoves. And I think also the gas light on a pole with the little incandescent wick.
We had Coleman everything, Coleman green. And I had that tent until 20 years ago. The cabin tent fell apart, rotted away. And so I painted my garage Coleman green just for him. So there's like this whole little fun history. And then I was a Boy Scout. And we'd go down to Escalante, discovered Escalante with 3 other friends. And we were 17 and feeling our oats and feeling cool. And one of them fell down in the sand from heat exhaustion. He was okay eventually, but we got him back to the car. But we just loved getting out there. And then on a graduation trip from high school, going to college, I didn't have a camera then, but I borrowed my parents' Argus C3 that to focus the lens, it had all these gears on the outside and you'd move it. And my buddy had this Nikon, Nickerman, high school kids. And we went up to Alaska. I had an uncle who worked in the mountains up there doing mining and stuff. And we got back home and Stuart showed me his pictures and I looked at mine with the Arctis C3 and I went, I have some pretty good ones too. Big lens flare over the mountain range. I thought that was pretty nifty. And some other weather pictures. So I asked for a camera for Christmas.
Excellent.
And I've been cameraman ever since. We go jeeping with our friends, college friends, and I was cameraman. I was documenting, taking pictures and build a darkroom in my parents' basement. So under the stairs.
Yep.
So as we went from developer to fixer, I need shorter because it was under the stairs. And that's all it was. So I just developed a fascination for that's how I see. Now looking back and having studied things a lot more, that's how I perceive the world. It's is through stills. I don't perceive it really as film even going by. I perceive
interesting
skill.
I want to dig into that a little bit more because a lot of photographers talk about they see the world differently. And I think what you just said is one of the best expressions of it that I've heard so far. And it is very much, you go about the world and you'll see something and you go, that will make a really nice frame. And might be the right light at the time, but it might be because the light is really good, but you do walk around the world with a different viewpoint to most people. Most people are wandering around and what they see is what they see, and whether they take notice of it really depends on how aware they are about their surroundings. But I think photographers and what you were saying there is something that really you do look at the world differently. How do you think it has changed the way that you do look at the world being a photographer?
I think being an artist has helped quite a bit there because although my first art form, and still it primarily is photography. When I was working in the elementary schools, that's how I got introduced to the elementary schools. And I found out I had a rapport with the kids.
Nice.
And so I've been doing that nonstop for 40 years, being hired by school districts to be the art coach. And so in what I do, we don't do cotton ball snowmen and little fun crafty things. Like kindergarten kids learn how to paint their mother's faces by we study the face. We have these interactions with the kids looking at each other, and then they're familiar so they can visualize where a face goes and nose and all that stuff. And then sometimes they bring their pictures of their moms in, or they just do it from memorization. But we study various elements of art and the principles starting in kindergarten with things I do. So I have to be pretty well versed with that because kids will take you to school with their questions and things. So looking at the world as a visual artist is where I want to take that idea to broaden it out there. And of course, photography is a visual art form. We just work in reverse to painters.
Yeah.
And we have full canvas. We have to isolate, which is an interesting prospect, whereas they can pick and choose. They can take a nice rock from over here and a river over here and get rid of that stuff in the middle. We can do that. We can do that, but it doesn't look so great. And I just like that natural thing. So I think that's why I was saying I'm always active, but I'm always thinking seeing the possibilities. I went up last night because I saw a possibility that did not exist 2 nights ago. The weather was changing here. It's like, oh, that could be good tonight. So I went up and there it was. And it was like, score. And it was exciting for me. Plus, it was just a nice little scene and I was outside. So I don't need photography to get me outside. I'll take a long walk, rarely without a camera bag on me. But if I come home and I'm empty, fine. I still have a great walk.
Yeah.
I'd rather come home with something because to me, it amplifies the experience.
But it's not necessarily the reason for the experience.
No, you need to experience first. You need to just live life and experience and have as tuned in and turned on as experience as you can have without using drugs.
Absolutely.
I think the photography is the drugs.
I totally agree. It is a
But
drug. But both in that it's expensive.
Yes.
And it's very addictive.
Yes. I used to shoot view camera. I still own view camera. I used to do darkroom work. I want to get back to that, and I probably will. Everything looks so nice and digital, and I only make 14 by 21 inch prints, or the largest anyhow. And so my D850 handles that just dandy. And but the expense part, if I had, let's say it's basically $10 a shot. Color film, 4x5 film, you buy it and then you have it processed, you put a stamp on it and you load it, black and white or color. It's $10 a pop.
That's it.
Try doing that, you motor drive users. So I haven't sped up. I have taken, here's a little lesson. People, whoever's watching or will be watching needs to think about this. Because probably a lot of your viewers are not 4x5 users, but I use my 35 as though it was.
Okay.
4x5 gives you a couple of things. Number one, it inverts the image. That, since I was doing 4x5, that's helped a lot because that inverted image, you're no longer seeing nouns.
Yeah.
You're seeing shapes. And then balance has to be there. So in my mind, every photograph I make, I'm not doing this. I have to turn it upside down. But my mind is, I can tell right off the bat because I've had that 4x5 experience. And of course, 4x5 requires your a little more intent because you can't just go pop and then, scooch over a little bit. Oh, some more sheets of film because all of a sudden that's $100.
That's it. Yeah.
And it's okay. No dinner tonight. Rice and beans. So that's the expense part too, ties up with that. But it's the intention, the working intention. And I could sit with it. I could sit with something for hours if need be in work and image. Maybe I'll do 3 in different slightly compositions, or if I'm focus stacking, but that counts as one composition, and I'll walk away. So many people, it's I'll go home, see if I have anything good. No.
Praise not the best way.
Yeah, you need to know you have that good thing in your frame. You don't even need to go like this. That's such a weird thing. I never do that.
Sure.
Hard it seems. If I click, I know I've got it. Why am I doing this? Am I questioning what I just did? No, I just did.
Yeah. I'll have it die hard.
Weird characters, photographers. We all have our little.
Definitely. I love what you said about the inversion of the image, though, because that, to me, that particularly if I'm cropping a 2x3, because mostly when I'm shooting the 35mm, that's what I'm getting is a 2x3. But if I want a square crop or something, and I want to work out where to adjust, quite often in Photoshop, I'll flip the whole thing upside down, and that tells me straight away, is this in balance? Not in balance? Where's my horizon point? And there might not be a horizon in the image. Where is that point of focus that people are going to start looking at that image? And that inversion makes a massive difference. And what you were saying there about using the 4x5 and the the medium formats and looking through that inverted viewfinder, it really does focus your mind on balance and composition as opposed to, as you said, spraying and pray.
Yeah, or what it is. Because when you're looking at it straight, this gets into it's a pet of mine, not a pet peeve. It just is. When you're looking through a standard 35 millimeter frame, you're seeing nouns and adjectives.
Yep.
You're seeing words. Where am I? What is that? Oh, that's delicate arch. Oh, that is an ocean wave. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
Those are not visual elements. Those words are not visual elements. You invert the frame, you're seeing line and shape and movement and balance and weight and tone and all that other stuff because eventually you do, because we live in that outside of that noun world, but things visually. Not enough. I don't think enough of us. Raise your hand out there if you're watching this. How many of you have taken an art class or a design class? Yes. And so there's two of us, and probably there's some hands aren't going up. A lot of photographers I come into contact with through workshops and symposium and other things, I ask that question, and there's a lot of people whose hands can't go up.
Yeah.
And number one thing people could do would be to learn some design. Learn not how to paint, learn the principles and elements of art, learn what basic design is. Because that's the language of art. In photography, if you believe it's an art, and I do, that's the language we need to be speaking. And it's a little embarrassing sometimes how many people in our profession or the practice of this thing, photography, don't know the language.
Yeah. A lot of people start. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying there. A lot of people start with the gear, and it's all about, oh, I've got to get the best gear I can get. And various budgets give you different gear. I've had beginners with some massively expensive gear that really have no idea, no clue about those artistic elements. And they're the things that I think workshops and so forth can actually help teach people is, okay, once you understand your gear, that's the first element. That it's like, how do I hold the paintbrush for certain strokes? How do I use certain strokes to do different things in painting to give me either texture or tone or smoothing adjustments? Then now I know how to use a paintbrush. Now I know how to use my camera. That's when you actually start the artistic pursuit, which is, where am I placing the story in the image? Where am I placing the characters from the landscape? Or if it's people, where am I placing the people in the image? And that, I think, really hit the nail on the head there. I'm interested with you, though, where did the art start? So what was the first point where you said, you mentioned that you were documenting when you were out, you were the cameraman with your gang of friends. At some point, it must have gone click. Oh, this isn't just a photo of this place. This is something that's artistic.
Well, it's probably the art. It was probably as a Boy Scout, hiking into these places and then seeing work by people like Elliot Porter, who had been going into the canyon country before. And I was like, oh, that's a little different. Ernst Haas, oh shoot, Bruce, what's his name? Galen Rowell. And people like Ansel Adams came along to me later because I got introduced to black and white later. But even before all that, I figured I wasn't an artist because in 7th grade, I remember this distinctly because I was like, oh, I'm not an artist. What am I going to do then? I'm going to go into business school because they gave us, there was a box, and in the box was a phonograph. And you had this piece of cardboard and you had a hole in the middle and you'd stick it on the phonograph like you would a record player.
Yep.
Okay. And the teacher would turn it on. I think it was 7th grade, 9th grade, something like that. And outside of the box were all these tubes of paint. And you got to squeeze them in there, and the thing would go around and it would make this painting. Mine got first place.
Awesome.
And I was like, Hucko, you got first place. I was like, no, I think I ought to really give the blue ribbon to the phonograph player that spun it around. I had nothing to do with that. And I was just like, okay, that can't be art either, because that wasn't me. That kind of stuck with me. So I was like, okay, what is art? And then it was then, and then just discovered those earlier photographers tried to do some things. I was still young, took a class at University or Salt Lake City Art Center. And one of the co-teachers looked over my shoulder one day. His name was Brent Harridge, one of my early mentors, and I had some slides. And he said, could I take a look at those? He had nice things to say, and he invited me into this special class they were doing called photographic directions, which wasn't technique, it was vision.
Mm.
And I got swept up in that nicely, and just have had a wonderful serendipitous meeting with a lot of people over the years and went happily along. So it was John Telford, who is the guy who turned me on to black and white. John Telford introduced me to Al Weber, who was a crony of Winslow Adams and all those guys, West Coast guys. I eventually was Al's assistant at Snowbird summer camps, and Al would sit there in the Eastern Sierras. I remember one night he brought out a box of prints, and he was handing out Minor Whites, Ansel Adams, Edward Weston, Brett Weston prints around a campfire. Like, what? He goes, yeah, you need to see what the work is.
Yeah.
Well, can't you wait till daylight? He goes, we're going to be hiking tomorrow. But he was like handing that stuff out. And that struck me. I said, like, wow, this is pretty cool. Doing this around a campfire. I want more of this.
Nice.
I want more of that. And that was well before I came art coach, and I got into teaching art to the young kids, and that was like the best addiction ever.
Yeah.
I just ceased doing that a couple of years ago. I went over to get some food tonight from someplace, and I walk into the little restaurant, and the girls who are now in high school, art coach. So they know me as that. I'm just pleased as heck because I know the time we had.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
What we got from each other. So I just fell into that and took every opportunity I could to do my art, met with other artists. I have a lot of poet friends, a lot of dance friends, a lot of play friends, and a few good photography friends.
Yeah.
Not as many as some of the other forums.
Yeah. Having gone through the book projects,
yes,
and working in that sort of way where you have an objective, you've probably got time frames and those sorts of things. Has that carried through into your own passion projects? Do you create your own projects and say, okay, I'm going to hit the trail and go down this trail and explore almost everything I possibly can here, and then come back with a body of work that says, okay, that's this place? Or is it more freeform?
Glad you asked. Let's say, can you see that clearly?
I can see that clearly, yeah.
Okay, so this is a collection of mine done on published via blurb.com. Yeah, and that's self-published. Nobody's going to buy this thing because it's like $150. But I have it, and guess what? I get to sit here sometime and look at my work in the pages of a book, and to see what it looks like as a body of work. I really believe in bodies of work, but I don't go out to do them. It was part of what you were asking. I'm just out photographing after a whole bunch of years, for instance, Grant, this one, and working on documentary projects and recording signatures by these old explorers from the 1800s so we could figure out where the stuff came from, because we had and just all this stuff. And then turning to black and white for these things, because what I got excited about mostly was the poetry of place juxtaposed with the natural geometry of the built environment.
Yeah.
And that's just been one of those things. It's not, people call them ruins. They're not ruins. It's somebody's home.
Yeah.
They've long ago abandoned it. And it's set in this setting. So there's a relationship there. And I play with showing that relationship. So that was that. I just decided I had to turn it into a book, and I wrote some text for it. And I've done that about 15 times. And so, yeah, another one was this little guy. I did this. Is called Walk Into My Heart.
Nice.
And I was on a trip with a good friend of mine, Colleen Minnick. I think Guy referred her, or you to her. She's a good pal. And there's a place called Glen Canyon here in the southern United States. A thing called Lake Powell is on top of it, buried. It's a reservoir, actually, so we should use the actual name because it's a body of water behind a dam. That is not a lake. That's a reservoir, so don't pretty it up. We dammed up and put in a damn nice place. So 3 years ago, the water level was, 3527. And it was down so low, this beautiful waterfall, this is called Cathedral in the Desert. For those of us who live in the Southwest, some of us, this is like going to the Vatican or something. This is like the bloody heart of the whole Colorado Plateau. And it was down so low that you had to walk a quarter mile to get up to it.
Wow.
And the monkey flowers and mosses, they had come back. This thing had been buried way up above to the ceiling of my room above this level. And it had found its way back in about 3 years with flash floods. And so Colleen and I'm not sure where I'm going with this. We went there because it was low enough. I wanted to go visit it, but you had to take a power boat. I called the only person I knew who would go there and be quiet with me. Like we would be there together and we wanted to talk, but to some of us, this is like the most sacred place on earth.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful to find we didn't know that part of our friendship, but we found that part of our friendship that day.
Nice.
And we wanted to photograph. So this is all about photography.
Yeah.
Because it's about how you think about places, how you feel about those places and the people you're there with. And it was quite amazing. We were there solo that afternoon. We motored out to a nice sandy beach and I made my famous tacos and we had some tequila and then we went back in the morning and worked again solo. Nobody was there. And about the time people started coming in, we were finished. So it was this kind of like the gods are with us time. And it was just so special. And that was with somebody else. We've had others. I've had events like that with other photography friends, but we get them with ourselves. And every day should be full of them. And if you're an active seer, they can be. You don't have to have a camera.
No, that's right.
When the light comes in the glass blocks in my bathroom, which is all distorted glass, and it's making cool patterns on the wall, sometimes they just have to stop because it's visual.
Yeah.
And I'm a visual learner. I like to read, but I'm a visual learner.
I'm interested in that experience. Just sounds like a wonderful time. What about times when things didn't quite go to plan? Have you got any horror stories or situations?
A dozen times it got tagged with a view camera, and I was damn sure I had loaded sheets of film into those film holders and get back after a 5-hour hike and take the film home or in the changing bag that night and go, wait a minute, there's no film in here. Yeah, I have dropped a couple of lenses and oops, and there goes that. But yeah, it hadn't gotten hurt doing any of that stuff. I think it's easy. But there have been those. I guess it just wasn't meant to be. I need to be more aware next time. And yeah, so not really too many. I look at some places I've been. I wish I could go again, but I don't have the legs or the stamina to go some of those places because now I think I could come back with some really nice work. But I go, okay, that's their practice. So
Yeah, put it down to experience.
Johnny Cash tells this funny story. I guess John Denver, they were doing this album called Will the Circle Be Unbroken. So it was Johnny Cash, John Denver, Eddie Gritty Dirt Band, all these people. And it was John Denver's turn. And he was nervous. And he's sitting there and he's going, this is just practice, isn't it? John Cash leans forward and goes, they're all practice, John. And it's like, I heard that 40 years ago. If you mess up every day, is like practice for the next.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
Just be alive, be into your thing, and if it works, it doesn't. If it more of them are working these days because I'm taking more time. I don't have quotas. I have to fill. I've been there, done that, and that's okay. I don't have to please anybody these days but myself.
Nice.
So you won't find me at Mesa Arch with 300 other people, which is an arch we have in Canyonlands. You've seen
I've seen so many times there.
Yeah. David Heiser did that picture. He was the first one to do that. Geographic photographer.
Yep.
Lives in Vail. He made that picture in 1976. So when I had him to Moab to be the keynote for the Moab Photo Symposium that I ran, we banned that picture and his other one, which is the picture from the little mound of rock looking through Turret Arch.
Yeah.
Or north window to see Turret Arch in the distance. And yes, you can all get up there one at a time because it's only a little mound. But he had the vision to find that whole orientation, the whole juxtaposition. Everything else is a copy.
Yeah. And interestingly, he's done that without tools like Google Maps and Photographer's Ephemeris and all of the...
He was doing something for Geographic on the national parks, and he told us the story. And he said, I walked up to there into North Window because that's what people do. And he looked over and there was that knob, but he looked up there and there's that little gully. And then he went, hey,
that'll work.
That'll work. Yeah. And same for the arch up on top. Nobody had put that together before, Mesa Arch, and I got my pictures of it too. I haven't actually been there for kind of a decade or so or more. If I went anymore, I'd let the 300 people be doing this, and I'd be back up with with my camera stopped way down and about a 40x darkening filter, and I get that ghost light look of everybody just milling around. I think it's funny. Yeah. See, a lot of people don't know our history. They don't know the history of a lot of these images or even of photography. Yeah. Ask people in your workshops if they know, I don't know, Brett Weston, if they know anything. Nope. Mm. Who's that? You know, Minor White? Nope. About Ernst Haas? Okay. Nope. Ansel Adams, everybody knows because he was made from this, but there's all these other.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys that have been in National Geographic that nobody knows, and I remember as a kid, I think my grandfather had a subscription, and I think he passed one on to my father as well. And so we had literally hundreds dating back into about 1955. I think it was the earliest one that I remember. And so, yeah, just looking through those was one of the things that really made me want to become a photographer, was seeing the images from, it wasn't just America, largely America, but it was images from around the world that just really stood out because those guys actually knew what they were doing, knew how to take a photo.
They had design.
And they had the chops to actually get out there and explore these areas. And as you said, a lot of it was way before anybody else has ever been there.
Oh, they did monumental stuff. Still are.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
They had the skills, the visual skills. If we got a moment, I guess you do.
Well,
You brought up something about story before. I've been thinking about that a lot recently. Everybody uses that word story. I don't anymore. I use, if I was going to use anything, I would rather my pictures be more like poetry.
interesting.
And that's for this reason. Because what's a poem? A poem, every word is considered. Okay. So are the spaces between the words.
Yep.
Okay. So is the location of the word on the page. So is the rhythm, the sound of it, because poetry started as spoken word. Okay. It wasn't written down to be read. It was initially spoken. So if there's, and then when one or more words get together, you have this thought, this phrase, this meaning, understanding take place that's greater than the sum of the parts, basically. It has a whole new meaning. And that's what I hope to be doing with my work. Because a story is description. That's, to me, it's a lot like illustrating. I hear the term visual storytellers. I'm not. I'm going to be the first one to say. And even doing the poetry thing, it's like, it's not that either. It's a visual sensation. If it has meaning for me, I could verbalize it, but it better be a good visual. Better be able to turn my pictures upside down. I like them just as much as side up.
Yeah.
And because they have to stand on the visual. And if they're visual, that means they're not verbal. So here we are talking about.
That's it. Yeah.
Guy cracks me up, but it's great. It's great. But I don't think of them as stories. You're not going to find stories in my photographs. If you are, that's fine. Go right ahead. I don't. I'm looking at the visuals. I see balance and people see faces in the rock. And I go, I'm sorry. I know you pointed out, you practically traced it on the print there, but I don't see that.
Yeah.
I see the workings of the language of art is at work. And if it gives you meaning and you can verbalize it, great. Or if you just want to feel it, because what are feelings? Those are abstractions.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
I kind of wind over that way.
Yeah. I love that description though, because it's one of the things that I do ask a lot of the photographers on the show about how they either want people to perceive it, and you can't control that, and that's totally fine. Viewers are going to see what they see, but visual communication is both, as you said, the design, the way that you've composed the image, but also the tones, the colors, how saturated, desaturated, whatever.
All those choices.
All of those choices that you're making are communicating something, whether it's a mood, whether it's just raw beauty, whether it's texture, whether it's tone. All of those things come together to make an image, convey something, a feeling. And as you said, that abstraction of that feeling from the inference from what you're seeing to how your mind reacts to it is really the chemistry that makes photography fascinating.
Yeah. Or any visuals. And he might even be saying things we can't find words for.
Absolutely.
There's my Navajo friends. I spent a lot of time with them. They have some words and they don't interpret it into English. You need a whole bag full of words. There's one, Hojo, and people go, oh, that's that walk-in beauty. No, but it's beauty, balance, wholesomeness, well-being.
It's a range of
within, but with the whole universe, and come with a deep scientific understanding that trees can talk to each other and all this other stuff. But even then, those words that you guys have in English, they don't quite cut it. So because the concept is not a concept that most Anglos share.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges, particularly doing something like a podcast, and
Yeah.
given that 90% of my audience is listening to this, not watching it, it is very difficult, I think. For me, it's also one of the fascinations that I have. And it's one of the reasons why I started the podcast is getting people to talk about it so that you can actually develop a much better appreciation of the visual language that you're working with through listening to people like yourself talking about how they pull an image together and what they're trying to communicate with their art. And to me, that fascination in turning language into a visualization or turning a visualization into a set of feelings is really one of the main essences of photography that makes it mean so much to a lot of people.
And I'm about to be 72, and I've been making pictures since I was 16, but probably only for the last decade have I, maybe a little bit more, have I really given a lot more thought and been doing a little more writing about it, because I want to be able to state it a little bit more instead of just doing it and knowing why, but being able to state why. I know why I do it.
Yeah.
We've all made those decisions.
And by and large, everyone does it. They enjoy it. They feel good.
Yeah, but now I want to know a little bit more the idiosyncratic things about why I do. I appreciate you digging into things a bit more because you're helping me out. We're helping your listeners out because we're all just trying to do a better job of being us.
Absolutely. And as I've said several times on the podcast, for me, I've been doing this now for almost 4 years. For me, this is really a free university education in photography.
Yeah. Yeah. And look at all the friends you have.
Absolutely.
You go to Moab, we're going to go get some beer. It'll probably be Guinness. I'm reading your shirt. And we'll go do some looking around. We'll carry on the conversation.
Definitely looking forward to tasting a Bruce Hucko taco.
Oh, you betcha. You betcha. If you ever talk to Colleen, you ask her about those, and they're very good.
Sounds fantastic.
They're better on the river. I do some rafting and with friends through the rapids, San Juan River, Colorado River, some others. It's a gash. It's just you, friends, and a boat, and you row and try not to crash.
Yeah. We've talked quite a bit about the field craft and the being out in the world. What's your experience in the editing suite and in development where it's filmed? You straight back from a trip, excited to get into it, or are you more laid back and, okay, I'll get to them when I have time, and you just leave them to marinate for a while and then you come back to them when you have time?
I do a little bit of both. Like last night, I came home from that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And being up on top, I had something else to do in the evening because it was probably about 8:30 when I got home. And lights had gone out, so I wanted to read a little bit, and then I went to sleep. I got this morning, and I worked on that image, and I posted it on Facebook because I was excited. I'm getting into writing little things, but there's others that in one of those collections of these tomes that I like to put together. This is like 300 pages. I mean,
Wow.
this holds the door open really well. But I went looking through my files and holy moly, from 2012, I found this image. So I worked it. Now I wished I'd had a bigger camera, my D850 then, instead of whatever it was I had. But I enjoy the heck out of the process. And I'll tell you, I'm going to throw something out there. I don't use the word process. I just said it, but I like the word resolve. Process is what we do to cheese. And it just was like, it's just stuck in my head. I like the word resolve because that implies intellect. There's various little problems that you have to come to a conclusion on. So you have to decipher what the issues are. God, that one rock right over there that's really far away for some reason, it's really turning into a weird shape. Oh, this flat image because this near rock there, the same tone. Oh, I guess if I darken that,
Yep.
that's not making it real anymore because I'm darkening it. But I have a ball at my computer. I will spend hours
Okay.
because we go out, we record the raw materials in a good composition. So you got to have the good composition, and that's an artistic thing. Then technically, you better have it all there.
Yeah.
Especially if you're doing focus stacking.
Mm.
Nothing worse than coming home and finding out that one of those frames, you had kicked the tripod a little bit and it's okay. Everything in the distance is great, but all the stuff up front is fuzzy and it doesn't jibe. So I can't go back and do it. You can't go back and do it because light changes.
That's right.
I'll spend quite a bit of time, and I spend way too much time, but I think it's important when the whole image is finished. And for me, that means usually if it's a single image, I start in Lightroom and I go back and forth to Photoshop until I kind of get, because some things are better in one and some things are better
Absolutely. Yeah.
in the other. I'm always showing people, it seems if I'm working in Photoshop and I go in and I do a level thing or a curves thing, I immediately make the same selection and do a color balance thing because it's going to throw your color off, adding all that fun. And I'll do a couple of more, even if I don't use them, I'll have them right there because if you move on to a different selection, then you have to go back and do that. But the thing I do a lot of is I will go in and I will 300%, 200%, and I will go around the edge of my frame and I'll find where there's little white spots or specular highlights in water. I photograph a lot of water, and I don't want a standalone specular highlight, even though it's natural, catching my eye.
Great. The thing with doing that,
Most people won't see this stuff.
the thing that I love about that pedantic, detail-orientated editing, that once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. But
That's right.
nobody else in the world that views it, particularly on social media, they're just going to go, oh, yeah, that's a nice shot, scroll past. And not 99.9 repeater percent of people that look at it aren't going to. But you will see.
I know you're out there.
You will, but also one of your good photographer friends will look at it and go, yeah, but my eye keeps getting drawn to that specular highlight.
Yeah, and I know I have. That's why they're my friends. And that's why they're my friends. And then and it just gives me, it's a certain kind of glee and comfort to just go, okay, then it's working now. It's in its totality. I did all the big stuff.
Yeah.
And now I'm really going in there deep because it is distracting once you are into that. And so I share that with as many people as I can because I want to drive them crazy looking for it in their own pictures. Besides, it's our pictures.
That's it.
We should take the time to make them the best thing we can. And a lot of people, I don't know, but some of those photography friends I have, I don't think they spend enough time.
Okay.
Maybe, I hear some people saying, I don't want to spend that much time with them. Why make so many out in the field? You turn them over.
This is it. If you've got 1,000 images coming back from a hike or something, then you know that you're never going to spend the time on 1,000 images, because if you spend 20 minutes on that 1,000 images, that's 20,000 minutes that you've actually got to set aside to down and process or resolve, as you said.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And in doing so, you've got to consciously make that decision. I know I shoot way more than I should, but part of that is trying to catch movement, usually, as you people listening to this know I'm mostly a seascape. And when stuff's moving through the frame and you're doing a third of a second, a quarter of a second, half second exposure, you can't always predict exactly where that wave is going to go or whether that one's going to work. So I know I've got a bunch of stuff that I'm going to throw away.
But you're not doing 30 different compositions.
I'm
is block creating the right wave.
And the other thing is you might see a wave that looks pretty big out the back, and as it comes towards you, it breaks earlier than, because it's bigger, it breaks earlier than other waves and doesn't quite come into the frame as far as you would like it. So you've started shooting because it's coming in and you want to catch it as it comes in. So you've got to anticipate. So you bang, and then it doesn't do what you want it to do. And okay, the next wave might be the one that you want. So for me, some of that I know is going to be throwaway because I'm not going to spend that 20,000 hours. And if you're spending 1,000 hours on each image, because I know I'm not going to edit every image. But
Yeah.
I might keep them because sometimes you might see something in it later that you didn't catch the first time when you did the review, which then gives you the opportunity to go, hey, if I take this one, blend it with another one from a little bit earlier, the light in that one was slightly better, but the wave in this one is exactly where I want it. I can bring the two together and give me a better result out of the combination as opposed to trying to get everything right in camera in one go.
I'm right with you because I've been there too. And you're working towards the same thing. You're working for that one good image you're seeing here and you're feeling here.
Yep.
And if you have to combine these two different things, fine. If you have to take 100 images of that one wave and you just go, well, 97 was pretty doggone nice, but so was 58.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm just in this zone. And it's still the one very strong composition. Then it's worth it because you go home and you can get rid of everything but number 58 and number 97 and
That's the beauty of digital. I brewed as a film photographer. That's why I don't ever see myself coming back.
Wouldn't you just love to talk to Ansel or Ed or Brett Weston or any of those guys? Well, John Sexton would tell you because he still shoots film. And I know he's not doing 50 sheets of film on one composition.
Yep.
So you just wonder if they have that feeling like, well, did I really walk away with the one? Or if I'd had 50 sheets of film, should I have stuck around for a while?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask him next time.
It'd be interesting. One of my favourite photographers is an Australian who was on the Shackleton expedition, and he was the official photographer with Shackleton in the Antarctic. So all of those shots of the Endurance trapped in the ice and everything, they're all his. And it just disappeared. I was about to say his name, and it's just disappeared.
Yeah, all right. That down so I can look it up. Good.
But yeah, interestingly, he was also a World War I photographer, official photographer for the Australian Army. And he did composite images from glass plates back in the day.
Views.
So when you think about the processing and the thought process of much, can you imagine having a conversation with him with today's technology about how that would actually work? And
he'd be so happy, wouldn't he?
Me what?
You
can push a button and that just happens?
You have to haul my tent and all these chemicals and do the best.
Yeah. But yeah, fascinates me that thinking about, and it's one of the reasons why I don't have any issues with people that take composites. I do composites occasionally as well. I do blending, that sort of thing. It's all a part, as you said, it's about what you're seeing in your mind's eye and what you're feeling in your heart and how you feel about the image and the art that you're creating, because it is art. And therefore,
we're express.
I'm not saying this is documenting exactly what you would expect to see if you stood in exactly the same spot. You could see it if you were there.
I wanted to do, if that's all we wanted to do, we could just take a couple of lawn chairs and go down to your little beach and have some beer and watch the sun go down and just keep doing that. We'd be happy.
Absolutely.
We would see the real nature, but we're not doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're internalizing. I like to talk about, there's always two landscapes, the external and the internal. And that photograph is a blend of those two as well.
Absolutely.
Because that's what it is. At least that's what it is for me. Because it's art is self-expression. So however you get there, just don't put the color slider bar too far to the right.
Yeah. Drop this hands off the saturation slider.
Yeah, hands off the saturation. Take it the other way if you do anything.
Absolutely. Now, I'm really enjoying at the moment. Some people say my images are oversaturated. I don't care, but I'm really enjoying actually taking saturation out. Some of my most saturated images are actually reduced by 30%.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to. If you're monkeying with them, haven't you found that to be true?
Oh, absolutely. You change the contrast.
Yeah.
Curve adjustment, you're going to affect the color. And so you have to drop the saturation.
Well, people don't.
No, I know. And I didn't when I didn't know any better. We all probably started that.
Yeah. It was pop art or something. Yeah.
Have you ever struggled to find inspirations with your photography? And if so, how did you handle that?
Yes, I have. Sometimes you just get tired. Or all those years I was working in the schools, say when I was working here, I was there a lot. I was not one of those teachers that left at 3:30 in the afternoon when the bell rang. And I was teaching, I had stuff to prepare. So I couldn't go out some evenings. And then on weekend, I was beat. But there went my photography time. But I was dedicated. I was committed to what the art stuff I was doing with the kids because it was a whole other sense of play. I was doing art. My art ended up being the kids.
Yeah.
Filling him up with some good creativity. But then I felt that my own personal work was slacking off a bit. And sometimes I just physically didn't have the energy to do. A couple of years ago, I won't go into details, but I was at a very low spot. Emotionally, I was just about ready to call it in on me. Put it all away. And because art can save your life too.
Oh,
it saved mine. And I would take these once a month trips. Not far, but I would just go out and I was still tormented by myself. What did I call this thing? Flying over here, all this art. I called it Surviving Self in a Time of Personal Crisis. It was called 10 months. I was in this place for about 10 months. But I would take these little trips just to get away. I'd take my equipment and gradually I started photographing. And I think it's some of the better work I've done in quite a while because it just seemed like the world had gone black. And I went from deep shadows because I went, I am a photograph now, but I'm too dark. I got to step out of the shadows. I got to find some light. And I ended up doing it. And I'm in a much better place.
Nice.
But every once in a while, you just kind of go dark. And I was fortunate because I have stuff I wanted to do. I wasn't going to off myself. But it was a pretty dark place. And when I had the realization, I'm a shadow. I'm one of those old, terrible prints I used to be under the stairs in the house. I'm a little gray. I'm not enough contrast. And I started building those things back into my life a little bit because I'd already trained myself how to do it with camera and film and camera and computer. I just had to do it with me. So dig it.
Nice.
So on those little moments when you find yourself that way, again, I was able to, okay, we got to let some light in here. We got to open up those shadows. What's in there? We take a look. but because open shadows are a lot better than just black.
Absolutely.
Easy. So yeah, it's kind of moved its way around. It's photography had, in that case, saved my life with the help of a couple of good friends.
Yeah.
Photography has been the life, whether I've been working for other people or doing it just for myself, or if I'm teaching art to kids and I'm not doing photography, or if I'm taking a walk with friends or riding my bike around the block or whatever. For me, it's all still photography because the shutter's going off and I feel like that means I'm living in that moment intently and hopefully intensely.
Nice.
We'll just keep clicking away.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What's the best and or worst piece of advice anyone's ever given you?
Ooh, yes. Piece. Worst piece of advice. Wow. I can't. Probably was straighten your tripod. Somebody probably had to say that more than once. Like, it's leaning over or tie a rock to it. I've seen that happen so many times to other people that was like, yeah, that's that little hook at the bottom.
Yep.
The head there. That's a good thing to cinch your pack onto because
Definitely.
that's how I lost the camera and the lens once, clank into the river. So that was probably it. But the other ones I learned, the whole 4x5 thing, it was like monumental to me. Is first deciding I wanted to try that.
Yep.
Is that was big time. I still have a wet dark room. I just don't use it. It's filled with Amazon boxes right now. But one of these days, because that's a whole other. I get into that zone right here too in the computer. I'll have some music on, but I won't have clocks on. I'll tape up the clock that's up in the corner of my computer because that's what the darkroom was. It was timeless.
Yeah.
I'm going 3 hours at 7 o'clock and you'd come out thinking it was 10. It'd be 5 o'clock in the morning because you'd just be in that zone. And that's something that I've tried to create here. So I have to look and close the blinds over there and no clocks. Turn all the phone stuff off. Nobody gets to come. Have a sign on the door. Stay away. I'm working, and because I don't want to be interrupted. I like that zone. It's like looking through that viewfinder.
Yeah.
Scooching that tripod over a little bit when you're making your composition. That is sacred time, man. That's good stuff. That's not to be interrupted.
Definitely.
What do you do when the wife calls and says, "Honey, what do you do?"
I get up and go because
Okay, you're a smart man.
happy wife.
Yes. Yeah. I can't really think of, I'm kind of stuck there.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
What's the future of photography and what are the challenges facing photographers right now, do you think?
I think the future is wide open. I like getting different magazines, looking online and seeing all the stuff that people are doing. We're in this very little small niche of landscape photography. And I love it. And I'm not moving out of it, although I've done some people work and things like that. I thought I was actually going to be some sort of Henry Cartier-Bresson person and travel the world. And I didn't. I got into my nature stuff.
Sure.
Do I still do that? Yeah. And that's why he's my favorite, just because of what we talked about earlier.
And
I think it's image making. It's not even photography anymore. We're a small niche in image making. For those closer to what we do, was it advice? I'd say take some art classes. Back to what I said before, get a design class, learn the language of your art form. Most people don't. They think sliders and, I'll just practice here and I'll keep sliding until it looks cool. No, learn what they do. Have a reason for even putting your hand on the slider.
Yep.
Really, just know your art form. A lot of people don't.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Take a workshop from Grant, people.
Are there any photographers out there that you think I need to be talking to? You mentioned Colleen, but I've already got her on this.
I actually wrote a couple of words in my little list. Yes, there are. There's a woman by the name of Deb Hughes.
Mm-hmm.
She does a lot of in-camera movement. Charlotte Gibb.
Yeah, I've got Charlotte on my list. Yep.
Okay,
I haven't spoken to her yet, but
the lady of Yosemite. There's all those great guys there, William Neal and some guy by the name of Ansel, and all the other Michael Fry. Yeah, her stuff is just she is as much like her photography as anybody I know.
fantastic.
Just inner outer spirit. Chuck Kimmerly.
Okay.
Have you heard that name before?
I have, yeah.
He's black and white solely. He photographs the in-between places. To me, he's one of the more original people working in photography.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Plus, he's just a really cool guy. And Huntington Witherell.
Okay.
Huntington's?
I haven't come across his work yet.
Oh boy, are you in for a treat? Yeah, he's a fabulous fellow. Part of the California group. He's down there. He's just all over the board. The blended images that he does. I think you'll have fun with that with Flora. And a real smart guy that speaks well on photography to the point. I think he just took over one of the columns that Guy was writing for. It may have been Lane's work.
Okay, yeah.
Is that? Yeah, maybe. And then he took over the whole column. He's a great voice, very compassionate, giving guy.
Fantastic. Thank you for those. It's great to hear a few new names that I haven't come across. It's always good to explore and find people's work that
one Spanish guy, I'll think of his name later. And then there's a woman who's in England. You may have come across her because she does waves.
Rachel Talabar?
Yes.
Yes, spoken to her, yeah.
Okay. Holy moly.
Yeah.
I just caught her stuff. It's like the greatest stuff I've ever seen.
It's incredible.
The coloration. I'm not sure what she's doing. I think they're pretty straight is what it looks like. But the color and just that it's the decisive moment.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you want to hear more about her, take a listen to her episode. I can't remember the number, but if
we've already got her.
I've already spoken to Rachel. Yeah, take a listen to that episode if you can, because she goes into detail about how she lies on a stomach on a beach with the camera up to her eye for hours on end, just watching for, as you said, the decisive moment. And she does an absolutely fantastic job.
There's one more guy who's over in England. He used to be over here in Salt Lake. Nat Colson.
I haven't come across his work either yet.
DYLSO. And he does some stuff now, very abstract. He does kind of travel things too, but his best stuff is his abstractions. And some of those, he goes into multimedia. He pulls off the whole abstract thing, makes the large prints, and then covers up what's there, but through very thin layers of paints other textures onto a portion of them. And good educator, just an all-around good guy. I've been on and off friends with him over the years. Like I said, he's come to my event in the past and presented. Was just very clean about what he's doing, but he fell in love and moved to England.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. I've got one more question for you, and for many people, it's the most important question I ask.
Happy answer. Okay.
Do you like pineapple on pizza?
Only if it comes with a beer.
Absolutely.
Can you see that right there?
I can, yeah.
Little pineapple. I bought that in your honor. Went down and said hi to a couple of the high school girls I know at Zach's Pizza here in Moab, and said, you got to make me one of your wines, because I know the last question is coming up. But yes, I do like it.
Fantastic. I'm so pleased you came prepared.
Yes. Yeah. Me too. This has been a gas.
So, yeah, Bruce, it's been fantastic getting to know you a little bit better and learning more about who you are and what you do. Where can people find your work?
My personal website is brucehuckophoto.com. And you can find information to get to the blurb books there, the symposium, Moab Photo Symposium, and I have a little workshop site on there too. It's called Fill Your Frame because that's what we ought to be doing, is just
Absolutely.
filling our frame with ourselves.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, Bruce. It's been wonderful having you on the show. Thank you.
Hey, we'll talk again, man. We're friends now, so
Absolutely.
I'm going away.
Perfect.
Hey, thanks, Grant.
Thank you.
Hey, buddy.
Thanks again for listening to Landscape Photography World. I hope you enjoyed the show and keep listening because I'll be joined by some great guests in upcoming episodes. You can find my work in this podcast at gruntswinburnphotography.com. Along with prints, photography gear, I'm also on Vero, Photo, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Don't forget to comment and subscribe because it really helps this podcast be seen. And I've got a question for the listeners. Have you done anything about your own photographic education? If so, leave a comment below. I'm Grant Swinburne. Hope to see you out shooting soon.